So today I'm going to be doing a teardown of their landing page and showing you what I think is working, but also uncovering some of what I think should be tested on the page to help take it to the next level. There are over 850,000 podcasts out there at the moment. So these guys only have a very small slice of the pie. And what I'll be suggesting to test would help them to double, triple, quadruple their user base easily. And it's something that you can start using in your business today.
What are we waiting for?
For anyone that's new to my channel, my name's Alicia Conlin-Hurd, and I'm the co-founder of the post-click agency Persuasion Experience. I've built over 450 landing pages, websites, and funnels, and specialize in everything converting traffic and consumer insights. Let's get into it. Okay, so we are on the Alitu page. And this is what I love about the page. I find that it's a very, very clean design. They always focus on readability and it's easy to digest. Now today, I am going to show you some of their older versions of their design as well, because these guys seem to be constantly testing new messaging, new design, and new pages. So this is one from my swipe file many, many years ago, probably only like 2 years ago or less. And this is the original page that I converted on. And then when I signed up, I funnel hacked them, went through all of their onboarding. It was pretty clean, but I liked how easy it was to understand what they do and how it would benefit me. It was one problem and it was the solution to the problem I was having. What I also think they do really, really well is using the words of their target market. So especially in that first version, I really resonated with the problems that they were talking about and showing me on the page. There wasn't any crazy jargon, and that's what this whole platform is about. So they seem to be really, really attuned to the dream outcome. So on this page, it seems like they're really good at getting the words of the target market and speaking in the language of the target market, right? So really clean design, and they can focus on readability, and it's pretty easy to digest. I do think this newer design maybe is a bit cramped and it could have a bit more breathability throughout the design. For example, this panel, there's a lot to look at. Now we can see here they've gone from edit your podcast in minutes, and we can start to see some of this transition. So I use a tool called Wayback Machine, and it starts to show me pretty much like every so often, it will just automatically take a screenshot of any website on the internet, which is always good to see. So we can see the different tests they've been running through: record, edit, and publish your podcast on easy mode, simplified podcasting with Alitu, and then this page, make a better podcast 3x faster guaranteed. So I somewhat assume that they've got here through testing. And as you can see here, it looks like they've been adding new things to the Alitu ecosystem: royalty-free music, the community, the blog, the integrations, the team, all of these things, which is awesome. But looking at the page now, what I would suggest is that they need to reposition who they are and what they are to a certain type of people. So early on that first page, they were speaking to me as an early podcast creator who was sick of editing, didn't want to pay other people, and was really overwhelmed and didn't know what to do. Now it seems they've evolved, right? And it's start and grow your podcast without the overwhelming tech. And then the subhead is record, edit, and publish 3x faster. But I think by adding all of these things, it started to confuse their positioning. So instead of really hitting on what they do and how it's a podcast editor, there's other things here like focus on better content and finding new listeners, automate the techie and time-consuming bits, your first episode in minutes, not days. And as you go down, it starts to lose the clarity that it's about editing, which is fine because it's obviously meant to be more of a holistic platform now, but that means that the company should do a repositioning. And how they do that is to first figure out what are the true competitive alternatives now, because previously they were probably being compared to doing it on your own, doing nothing at all, or outsourcing to an editor at Upwork. Now they do a lot more things like the hosting, the royalty-free music, and the editing. They do a lot more of a suite of hosting and running a podcast, which means that their positioning in the market would have changed, which means they'll naturally be compared to different things. So after they've done that, the next thing I would do is to figure out, well, what's the market category? Because that market category sets and contextualizes your differences and what makes you better. So if they're in the market category of podcast editors, well, that's very, very different. But are they now actually a podcast growth hub? Are they a hosting platform? So they need to redefine what is that market category to help bring clarity back into the page, to help contextualize some of the differences of the features and the benefits that they have. Finally, it's figuring out who they serve and what part of the buyer's journey. So I'm not saying that they don't know any of this, but this is what I would do to reposition to get a bit more clarity onto the page. And that is figuring out, well, are we going after people who have just started a podcast pre-monetization? Are these people that are like it's monetized? Do they have an editor? Are they doing it themselves? And really speaking more clearly to that stage of the journey of their podcasting journey. For example, on that initial page, I really resonated with being a new podcast host, it being really overwhelming and it being too techie on any other solution that I had looked at. Whereas now, if I was still in that phase and early on in my podcasting journey, some of this might not be as relevant to me because I was trying to solve one problem and maybe I didn't really need anything else. So you start to lose that clarity of what we do and how it benefits you. So using this tool Punchlist, which is one of our clients, I've gone through and marked up some of the things that I would test. And the first thing when you have a product or a service that needs education in a market. So maybe there's nothing much like it. And this page does try to educate quite a bit. The quickest and easiest way to do that is through a like bridge, or Russell Brunson calls this an epiphany bridge. I call it a like bridge because you basically say it's like blah for blah. So for example, they might say it's like Canva, podcasts, or something like that. And the idea is that it's like something I already know and understand. So you would survey your audience and you would find out what other tools they're using or what they use in their day-to-day lives. And then you would want to try and connect the dots. And it might not be exactly that, but it helps them to understand what you do and contextualize what you are. The second thing I would do on this page to test is the offer. So what we call a golden hippo offer. That's the number one most important thing when it comes to getting conversions. But a lot of SaaS companies, will go with the traditional free trial, do this, do that. But I wonder if we think about the buyer's journey and when they come here, what if we just slightly reframed that and we called it something like edit your first podcast for free. Like they're gonna do that anyway. I bet that is the behavior that's happening on the back end. So what we do is we look at what are the activation triggers. How do we know that somebody's going to actually become a user, a paid user? And then we can encourage it actually on the offer. So often when we work with SaaS brands, there is some sort of trigger that indicates that somebody will become a paying user. So when we know that, and that's the behavior that we want to reward and we want to activate, we just make that part of the offer, the call to action to sign up. So I dare say that in their data, they have, if somebody in their 7-day free trial edits X amount of podcasts, then they're, X more likely to become a user, a paid user. Well, let's just make it, hey, edit your first podcast. You might slightly tweak the activation process, like their onboarding, but that would be a different offer to test. And it also speaks more to the outcome that the target market wants. Instead of just try it for free, it sounds more like you're giving them something and it starts to shift the perceived value. The third thing that I would do on this page is using proof with intent. So on some of their other versions, they use the Trustpilot under the call to action. And you always want to have something under the call to action to help eliminate the friction to click. I know we've got it here, but I think this call to action gets a little bit lost in all of this information. And then here, you would just always be clout jacking Trustpilot underneath, unless something happened in the background, but I would still keep that underneath the call to actions at all time. Now, when I say proof with intent, what I would just simply have on this page potentially is have, who is this for? We need to remember that this page is still a salesperson. If a salesperson was trying to sell this one-to-one, one of the questions that somebody might have is this the right solution for me? So what I would do and test out on this page is have, this is for you if you've never edited a podcast in your life and you're just about to launch. And then I would have a testimonial that proves that. Or if you're already an established podcast host, monetizing, but you want to cut costs on editing, and then I would have a testimonial. And whatever it is, that all comes back from surveying and doing that qualitative data analysis and consumer insights about who you serve and your users. But once you find that out, then you start to get those micro yeses on the page where people really resonate. And instead of just having testimonials slapped on the page into a slider, you can actually use testimonials to resonate with people, to show it's for them, and to obliterate objections. A really awesome way is to also use your FAQs. These should be like a sales tool, right? This is a sales page, but you should use a testimonial in your FAQs. If people are here, they're engaging with you, you always want to figure out how you can add more testimonials in. So I would literally add a testimonial here that says about how easy it is to edit and how quick it was. What does it include? I would have a testimonial, like a testimonial here, so it's third-party irrefutable proof. It's not enough to say, we're the best, look at how great we are. And I know they have it, you can easily intertwine this third-party proof onto all of your sales copy to help prove that you are the best. So ultimately, when it comes to your landing page, no matter if you're a SaaS brand, e-commerce, lead generation, it all comes back to being target market obsessed and understanding in their words, what are their pain points, their hopes, their dreams, their fears, and ultimately, what is their dream outcome? Because none of us, not you, not me, not Apple, not anybody else, we don't sell products or service. We don't sell products or services. We simply sell an entry into a desired after state. Somebody is here suffering in their crappy before state, and we are just one of many vehicles to get them into this desired after state. So you need to understand the conversation they're having in their brain. You need to make sure on especially SaaS pages that you're writing the features, but you are connecting them to a benefit, and then you're contextualizing why that's important in their lives, right? So if you have a feature that helps you to snip podcast recordings super easily, cool. And what does that mean? So that you can spend more time building your podcast and get it done within 3x faster. And that's what they do on this page. So team, there you have it. There was the quick breakdown of the Alitu podcast editor page. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Is there anything else that you think they should test or that they could do to improve the page? Or what do you love about the page and what do you find really interesting? If you have a page of your own or a company that you love and you'd want me to tear it down in a future YouTube video, make sure that you pop it into the comments. Otherwise, team, I'm about to leave up some other videos to help fast track your success, and I hope you enjoyed today's training.